Hey folks, Rich here, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Today I'm bringing you a little fix-it tip on these Chinese horizontal queen excluders. Okay, they're all over Temu. You can also get them on Amazon. Uh, Brilliant idea, I guess, for the folks who are in horizontal hives. Uh, okay, when I kept horizontal hives and I wanted to use a queen excluder, I just made a follower board, cut the middle out, and stapled a piece of regular queen excluder into it. Worked just fine. But for those who like official looking stuff, the Chinese are making this queen excluder that fits into a horizontal hive. The problem is it doesn't fit in a horizontal hive. It doesn't fit in an American horizontal hive anyway. Show you. It's way up here. It doesn't fit down into the grooves. Now it fits. And the other thing about it is that I'm pushing back and forth, and there's nothing. There's no give this way. The tiniest piece of burr comb or propolis or anything on the inside, and you wouldn't be able to slide this anywhere. So I'm going to show you how to fix both those problems. Okay, but I want to get into the numbers. I want to show you why this doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to use millimeters here because it's the clearest way to understand here. Here is a standard frame from a standard company, and it is 483 millimeters from edge to edge here. So 483 millimeters. And of course that fits the way it normally fits. You've got a tiny bit of play there, and you've got 3/8 of an inch. Of course, you don't want the 3/8 of an inch on this. That's fine as far as that goes. Now, this is a brittle plastic. So what you're going to want to do is get some 2-part epoxy. Here's some cheap 2-part epoxy from Harbor Freight. It's like a $1.80, I think, now to get one of these. It doesn't take much. Mix up a little bit of this along with a little bit of sawdust to give it some body. Keeps it from being too brittle itself, and fill the 2 end pieces. The 2 end caps. Let's just do that. So you fill those 2 end pieces with that, and then you go away for the evening. You wait till the next morning when this is all hardened up, because wasn't quite sure how far I was going to have to cut into it. Now, as it happens, to get it where we need it, this is a very thick edge here, and you can actually leave just the tiniest. You can cut to just a tiny bit before that. So I actually have still the plastic, but you can see how much plastic I have. Almost nothing. But now we're down to 483 on this one, and it drops in just fine. A little bit of play, good to go. Now, as far as it happens, the 2 boxes that I grabbed today to demonstrate this are behaving themselves and working just fine. The box I grabbed the other day, a nuke box that I was testing this on, it was a jam fit. So I knew I needed to clear a little bit of the side. And that could be a bit of a problem, but I found an easy solution for the problem, and here we go. I will apologize in advance. I have no idea what this is going to sound like on the mic, but here's how you can give yourself a little bit of play. You can see these curls that I'm taking off. Far more efficient than sanding. And since there's 2 ridges here, you could actually take them all the way down to where these cross pieces are, but you don't need to. I took it about halfway down between where it started and where I finished. It's just that simple. A technique that comes from another hobby of mine. I do colonial recreation. So you make powder horns, and you make powder horns out of horn, and you work the horn by the same thing. You get yourself a sharp knife and you scrape the horn to thin it down and smooth it out and such. It's the same technique. Now this one is behaving itself perfectly. On the other one that I already did, it was drawing just fine through here, and it was drawing just fine on this one. This side must have had a little cold spot where the plastic kind of jumbled a little bit. So there was a little bit of chatter right here. So for that, I did take a piece of 120 grit sandpaper on a stick and touch it up a little bit, because the knife was just got to about here and was going chatter, chatter, chatter on it, and it wasn't making a clean cut. So smooth it out a little bit. But as you can see, you can take off quite a lot in short order. So do pay attention that you're leaving just a little bit of that interior ridge right there. And even though I've only done one side, well, it's not going down, but you can see it's already rattling a little bit. Not enough for a queen to get through. We're only talking a 1/16 of an inch here, if that, or do it in millimeters, less than 3 millimeters. But that's all you have to do to make this into a good horizontal hive queen excluder that you can use.
But how do you cut the top pieces?
With a hacksaw, or as I did in my case, I actually just put it on my chop saw, and I just brought my chop saw through it very slowly. But you could use a hacksaw blade with either I would suggest that you use a metal file or a metal blade in the hacksaw, but whatever you want to use. You could also just, if you have a power sander, you could just power sand it. It would just melt it away, as it were. Or you could take longer and just use a stick with a piece of sandpaper on it and do it that way. In my case, I chopped them. Just put it up against the chop saw and went zip.
So the epoxy was just to stabilize
the
it?
epoxy is to stabilize everything, because this stuff has a tendency to stress. It's a brittle plastic. Okay, so I did not want to try doing that without stabilizing it first. Maybe I could have gotten away with it. I wasn't going to try it, because if this stuff decides to snap, it takes out a big divot, like, flint napping or something. It takes out a big chunk. So I wanted it all stabilized right there. That technique, particularly giving you a little more clearance on the sides by doing a little bit of scraping, makes this a much more useful product, because it's not of much use this way. And if you look, you will see a lot of things for sale from China that will say something is 485 millimeters. 483 is better for most of our standard equipment. If you find this I looked on Amazon. I got this on Temu myself, but I looked on Amazon, and it said that it was 19.25. In other words, 19¼ inches, and they were exactly right. They're telling the absolute truth, but it doesn't really fit in our American equipment.
Looks like 19 inches would have been better.
No, 19 inches is too little. 19 1/8 would have been perfect. 19 inches straight would have barely, you might even, well, not with this, because there's not enough play. You could have done 19 on this, but as a general rule, 19 is not enough, because you usually have 3/8 inch play either way, and you could actually push to one side and something would drop in.
So people should just measure their boxes before they do this, maybe.
Measure your boxes very carefully before you order something sight unseen, because like I say, there's a lot of stuff coming out of China at good prices, but they're at 400. Technically, it's supposed to be 485. I'm sorry, I don't think I even bothered to mention this is $490. Okay, 485 would have worked. 490 is what this measures right now.
So you had to take 4 centimeters or 4 millimeters off each side.
3.5 probably.
Right.
Yeah, I don't make quite 4.
Math is not my strong point.
Yeah. But That's it. I just wanted to show you that if you got one of these and you went out and you're all excited and you went to drop it in, well, probably not going to fit. Particularly if you have a long hive and you're going to put it in the middle and this stuff warps. And maybe it warped out and you could put this in your hive because the middle of your hive is warped out. That's great. But if the board's warped in, then you'd be really stuck. And whatever the situation, I've just given you the necessary tools to fix it so you can use one of these effectively yourself. That's it. This has been Rich, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Be sure to like and subscribe and have a great day, everybody.